Dragomon Hunter.
Sorry, what?
Dragomon Hunter.
Do you mean Dragon Monster Hunter?
No.
Well, it sure feels like you mean Dragon Monster Hunter, or Pokemon.
Dragomon Hunter?
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to a bit of a look at a game that's sure to get the interest of any seasoned Monster Hunter player. Welcome to Dragomon Hunter, a game about hunting Beastomon. Yes, that's what they're called. Beastomon, collecting their innards and outards, progressing towards bigger and stronger creatures down the line, using various weapon options for each of the given classes. From this, as well as seeing the trailer that has been playing, well, you could easily be forgiven for thinking this is a straight-up Monster Hunter ripoff, but that may be a failure of the marketing and name choice more than anything else. This game is an MMO with combat that is nowhere close to anything in the Monster Hunter series. And honestly, having looked into it a bit, the game definitely has a fair bit of its own charm, even if the base conceptual loop of killing creatures to make their armor is clearly heavily inspired, and the aesthetic is undeniably very familiar too. Before we take off on in though, please leave a like if you like the video. It does a lot for us. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more of our videos, and most importantly, what is your favorite type of tree and why? Mine is the humble maple. Now, as far as the aesthetic of this game being familiar, what do I mean? Well, here is a Beastomon called Wingrus. He is a walrus flying wyvern, and he is absolutely adorable. This is, okay, prepare yourself for this name, Quackadactyl. He is a goddamn duck raptor wyvern, but not even like a real duck face, more like a classic rubber duck head, and it looks like if his face gets broken, his goddamn tongue hangs out because he's a cute little rascal. It's just, I love this one, okay? I love both Wingrus and Quackadactyl significantly. On the other hand, we do have things like Oblivion Hellswine, which is just how a posh person refers to a Bullfango. Actually, his name is just Hellswine, but there's a version of him called Oblivion Hellswine, and that's amazing, okay? Also, there is Molten King Leonic, who is absolutely just Teostra, but, you know, in his favor, he has a snake-like tail, so he is probably more specifically inspired by a chimera. That said, the creators of this game absolutely knew about Monster Hunter, and thus they absolutely knew about Teostra. And so maybe the choice of Molten King as a chimera concept was not the most original choice ever, was it? Wait, hold up, it just hit me. The thing that he's trying to eat is a fucking, it's a Rathalos, it's a Velocidrome. That is a fucking Rathalos-headed raptor bird wyvern. Are you serious? Okay, those two are somewhat common concepts, but the Ratharaptor and a couple more in the game are a bit more noticeable. Things like Apollo, the bipedal muscly ape with some elemental powers, but if you let him get close, he will pound you to a pulp with his fists. But then, on the other hand, there are also things like Forest Chameleoid. Your first thought? Chameleos, obviously, but that is because you're thinking about Monster Hunter. Think about this as just a chameleon-inspired monster. Consider the Triceratops horns, the fact that this is like a weird dog with no neck that just goes from the torso into the giant head. This is a funky, crazy, unique creature, and I actually really dig it as a chameleon monster that stands up on its own. There is also Swamp Fang Lurker, who essentially looks like a fishy eel version of Odogaron, except this game was originally released in 2015, long before Monster Hunter World and Odogaron existed. So it's not like this creature ripped off Odogaron. In fact, it was before him. On a similar level is Pricklepine, the cute-ass porcupine bear thing that sort of gives me really, really heavy Nergigante vibes. But again, 2015. Even then, I swear the eyes are uncanny levels of similar.
The eyes are the window to the soul.
Aside from the base style of combat being a bit different beasts from Monster Hunter, of the 6 classes in the game, only 2 of them are really conceptually unique, by which I mean that they aren't Monster Hunter weapons translated into a class. Those 2 are the magical classes, your classic Mage and classic Cleric. Otherwise, there is the Scout, which uses dual swords, Mercenary, who gets to choose between a big sword or big axe, Samurai, who has a very long sword, and then Cavalier with a lanterned shield. revealed. If you were starting to gain some sort of interest in what this game is, what Dragomon Hunter is, I should probably let you know now that this game actually shut down a number of years ago, 17 months after its initial release. I can honestly say, if it were around now, I would have at least launched it to check it out for the sake of this video at the very least, if not do anything past that, but no, it's lost to time. Sometimes I talk about games that really just make me want to laugh with how poor of an imitation of Monster Hunter that they are, but this one actually just for a moment caught my attention. The Duramboros stand-in hammer-tailed monster is a goddamn otter who uses it to crack clams, and I'm here for that, okay? This game has no qualms about its inspiration, but it at least took it to a slightly different place. This game is notably wackier than Monster Hunter, almost like a hybrid with Pokemon, but even then, still wackier than Pokemon, with rubber duck wyverns as actual enemy creatures, and well, you know, the fact that you can tame pretty much any of the creatures that we talked about today to use as a mount as you continue through the game. I wouldn't recommend that with necessarily Bobceratops though, because he's pretty spiky, but he does look like a sort of Triceratops directly crossed with a muscly deer, and that's so weird. Like, what is that? What is that cute little button tail on this menacing, evil-looking beast? This game's theme is throw it all at the wall and see what sticks, and this juxtaposition of a creature definitely works for me for some reason. I don't think I can see a single one of these creatures ever being a monster in a Monster Hunter game. And that's fine, because this game doesn't have Monster Hunter combat, and this means that they have actually meaningfully distinguished themselves from Monster Hunter, even though it is clearly heavily inspired by it. Monster Hunter would never have something quite as ridiculous as Quackadactyl as a large monster, but Dragomon Hunter did, and for that I have to give it some respect. For me, this game toes the line very carefully. It's not quite unique enough or revolutionizing enough to say that it isn't an attempt to copy the Monster Hunter formula, but at the same time, it has just enough of that uniqueness and personal charm to separate it out just a bit and stop me short of calling it a straight up clone, no matter how much I wanted to while I was watching that goddamn announcement trailer. Either way, the game is now shut down, and so this is mostly just to talk about something that did exist in the past, tried to carve out its own space and was unsuccessful. A comparison of some of the things that it definitely took inspiration from at the absolute least, and a bit of a view into the things that it did uniquely from the Monster Hunter path. Things that I think deserved a bit of a positive look as well, if not just some attention. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Do you think this game was unique enough to exist in its own right, or was it shamelessly ripping off Monster Hunter? Are the more unique monsters in the roster actually interesting to you, or do they just add to the problem? Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.